Howdy everybody, this is John Byers with my top 5 tips. And this week we're going to be discussing winterizing your landscape. So what I have done is I have cooperated with the professional in town. This is a high-end landscaper, luxury landscaper called Landscape Ninjas. This is Daniel, the owner, and he's going to share with us his tips for winterizing your landscape.
That's right.
Daniel, I see you brought us some props this morning. Tell us, what do these mean and how would I use them differently?
Yeah, for sure. So we've got a couple items here on the table. I guess first off, we have our frost shield. You get this at any hardware store. You can even get it bulk online at like Amazon for a little cheaper if you have a lot of landscaping you need to cover. But you do want to make sure that you have something that will allow air and water through.
Okay.
So if you have if you're trying to use like a plastic or something like that, you're not going to get any air through and you're not going to let any water through, and that will actually, if you leave it on there, will kill your plants.
Okay, so when I have used tarps in the past, that's not really what I need to be doing.
I wouldn't.
Okay.
If you do, it's just that night and pull it off immediately the next day.
Okay,
but
so it's the short term.
Yeah.
Short term only. Now, I've also used bed sheets. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Bed sheets can work. Okay.
They
are porous. They have some holes. They are going to let light through. They are going to let a little water through. And so if you needed to and you just, that's all you have available, that could work too. Okay. You just really want something a little more porous.
I see. All right. So this is now, it's in the plastic, but it's a mesh.
Yeah, it is a mesh, and we're going to pull it out here in just a little bit.
Okay.
But it is a mesh. It's non-woven product. It's going to allow light and water through.
Light and water. Okay, you've got a couple other things here.
Yep, so that's the frost blanket. Next up, we have burlap. This can be used as well, but typically for the burlap, we're going to use this for wrapping trees and shrubs.
Okay, I've seen that.
Now,
why do we do that? Is that the same reason to protect from winter? I always thought there was some bug reason that we were wrapping the base of the tree.
Yeah. So the base of the tree, you want to wrap that because if water gets in the bark and then freezes, it'll actually separate that bark from the tree and then kill that tree or shrub. And so if you have new trees or smaller trees, typically on a larger tree, it's not going to be as important, but definitely new landscape trees and shrubs, you're going to want to wrap those trunks.
And that's the reason. It's because the water can penetrate, and since water expands when it freezes, it's going to break that apart.
Yep.
That's brilliant.
Yes, sir.
Now, I noticed you brought us one of these. Insulates your hose bib.
Yep.
Your exterior hose bib on the side of the house.
Yep.
The Lowe's was out of these during the harsh winter that we had several years back. I now have a couple. When should we buy these?
So I would recommend getting those, October, November, before the freezes come, because like you said, they wear out. I actually could not get any either.
Really?
So funny story is, what will actually work if you need to is just rags and tape. I've seen that. It's not fun and it's not ideal, and your wife might not be happy about all the kitchen rags being outside.
Yes.
But it will work.
Okay.
So I did the same thing and went ahead and picked up some early this year.
Yes. And what else do you have for us?
So we're going to have some mulch out there. I don't have on the table with me yet. We will have some mulch. We'll talk about that. And then the last thing is just some landscape pins come in really handy for holding this down.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, so instead of cinder blocks that I'm lugging in from the barn. Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Some landscape pins.
Yeah. All right, well then let's head out and see what we've got to see.
Perfect.
Daniel, now that we're out here on the site, tell us what you're about to do.
Okay. So first off, what we're going to get started with is mulching and covering the landscape plants. You put a lot of money into investing in the landscaping. We want to make sure it doesn't die, right? So I'm going to start off with any mulch. We have just a regular Texas native hardwood mulch from Lowe's, and then our frost blanket.
Okay. So, now this is the frost blanket that was all rolled up.
Correct.
This is, okay, it's thick. It's thicker than I thought. It actually doesn't have, you can't see through it, but it's pretty strong. But you're saying
strong, but you can, if you hold it up to the sunlight, you can see that gets through.
Yep.
And then also it'll allow water through as well, like I said. But so you'll have to open that up like this.
Yes. And how long can I leave this on? Put this on in October and leave it on how long?
You can leave it on quite a while. That's the whole point of it, is that you know, you can leave it on, and it'll actually give you an earlier blooming
Really?
season. Yep.
Sounds great. Let's get to it.
All right, cool. So first thing is we're gonna take our mulch, and we want to do a nice thick layer, because what that mulch is gonna do is it's gonna retain any heat that it gets,
Yes.
and it's gonna retain some moisture. So you typically like to do 2 to 3 inch layer of mulch all around the shrubs, and in this case we're just going to do this one here.
Now, if I were up against a house, I'd probably want to pull some of the old mulch out so that I'm not building it up above my weep holes.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely don't want to go over the weep holes. So you'll spread that mulch there all around the base of the root system of that shrub. Get a nice thick layer on there, and that's really gonna keep it warm. You know, we'd want to do this entire bed area. We actually have a program where we come out every spring and every fall, remulch everything, weed everything, trim all the shrubs, stuff like that. It's just a recurring program that we offer as well.
Awesome.
So
Full service.
Full service. So that's just a kind of general, you know, mulching, nice thick layer, like I said. And then after you're done with that, you want to get out your frost blanket here, and I'm going to cover a couple of shrubs at the same time because I cut a nice big piece. So there you have it.
Speaking of that, doing what you just did, if we had another negative 10 or whatever it was during snowpocalypse, would they be able to survive?
There's a time limit on everything, especially with the shrubs that we have not being used to that.
Yes.
It's really hard to say how long they would actually make it, but they have a much better chance.
This gives them a better chance.
Much better chance.
Yes.
In the snowpocalypse, in our general winters, you know, we don't really get a lot of frost and a lot of freezing. They'll be totally fine with just that there.
Okay, sounds great. Let's move on to our next project.
All right.
Our next step is hose bibs. Everybody has the faucet on the outside of the house. What are the steps that we need to make sure of? Do we leave the hose connected? Do we disconnect the hose? I think we'd have to put the cover on, wouldn't we?
Right, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So if you have anything that's still on, obviously we want to shut that off. We will go ahead and disconnect the hose bib or the hose itself. Drain that out. You can just kind of lift this up and let that all drain out. Don't want any leftover water in there. Drain that out, and then your hose bib cover, you have a little loop on it. We'll go ahead and throw that over the handle on there. Slide that up, and then just tighten this down.
Okay.
And that's it.
Excellent.
Just like that. Make sure you walk all the way around and make sure you get them all covered.
So now we're going to be wrapping a tree, and this is burlap. I remember burlap sacks with potato sacks, things like that.
Yeah.
Where do I get burlap now?
Again, Lowe's.
Really?
Or Amazon, yeah. We got this at Lowe's here in town. So yeah, you can get it anywhere you can get the frost blanket.
Okay, so it's readily available. I haven't been looking for it, so I haven't seen it.
Right.
Excellent. Show us what we need to do.
So one thing that'll happen is if we do get those deep freezes, water gets in the cracks of this bark, freezes, and will separate the bark from the tree, making it disease prone, really prone to wood boring bugs, things like that. So we definitely don't want the bark coming off the tree. It's like the skin coming off your finger.
Certainly.
You know? So what you're gonna do is just take that burlap, and it is pretty open. So you wanna make a couple of wraps here.
Yes.
And so we'll start here and just wrap that guy like that. Pull that tight. Get another wrap around. And then you can tie this if you have some twine. You can just tuck it like I'm doing here.
Yes, okay.
Piece.
And about the width of the burlap up, what if I have a much taller tree? Do I go even further up and make a second pass?
Yeah, you definitely can. You want to kind of come up to where the first Y is at.
Yes, sir.
This up here, this bark is so much newer. It's not going to have that many cracks. I could I could, if we were really expecting some cold, maybe trim this branch off and do a little bit of wrap here because you have this kind of larger crack. But typically after that, all this is going to be fine. Water's going to run down. The main trunk is where
the water sits.
Focus on that.
Excellent.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. Okay.
And she's wrapped.
Fantastic. Okay. All right, Daniel, now we're at the irrigation part. Tell us what we need to know if we have an automatic irrigation system. What do we need to know about it?
Yeah, definitely going to want to shut it off and bleed it out what you can so that there's room in there. So if that water does freeze, let's say maybe the irrigation pipes didn't get put in as low as they should have, which we see pretty often.
Do you?
Yeah, they're up just a few inches under the ground. They're more susceptible to freezing.
Yes.
And so the first thing you need to do is find your main shutoff valve.
Okay.
Isn't always the easiest to do. Sometimes they're buried. These here I've actually just uncovered.
Okay.
But I'm gonna tell you the easiest way to find it. So if you can locate your water meter, it's always gonna be directly after that. You're gonna have a main shutoff and a backflow device. And so that's gonna separate your main water from your irrigation water. So you can shut off the entire system without shutting off water to the house.
Okay.
And so if you can find that, typically right behind that towards your house, you're going to see two other boxes. The big one's going to be the backflow, and then you're going to have a small 6-inch green box, and that'll be the main shutoff for the irrigation system.
And they're usually in conjunction with your meter.
Yes.
Okay.
Right near it. And then so then that's just a ball valve, just a handle. You just get in there, and it's going to be facing the same way as the pipe.
Yes.
I'm going to turn it to be facing the opposite way of the pipe, and that'll be off.
All right.
That'll shut that off. So now water shut off to the system. The next thing you're going to want to do is just go find any of the green lidded boxes in your yard.
Yes.
And there's going to be a bleeder valve on that. There's a valve down in there, and there's just a little knob, and it's just a bleeder. You'll crack it open, you'll see some water come out. You can just leave it cracked open so that if pressure does build up,
it will flow out.
It's able to escape. Okay. And then you can just go and shut off your controller. This time of year, we don't have any need for additional water. It's wet enough, it's cool enough. Really, it's just a waste of water, you know, December, January, February. You're better off just shutting it off.
The valves, I'm turning that off. I'm opening a bleeder, and I'm turning the electronics to off.
Yep. And if any of that is, you know, you don't know where to find it or you can't find it, you can always contact us.
Fantastic.
And we offer that service.
And what's the number best to reach you?
It's 833-874-7277.
833
TS Grass.
TS Grass. Awesome.
833 TS Grass.
Excellent. Thanks for watching John's 5 tips on how to winterize your landscape. Thank you so much, Daniel. Landscape Ninjas, if you're interested in luxury landscape professionals who know what they're doing, who have actually learned how to handle drainage, landscaping, irrigation, they can do it all. If you're interested in that, please give Daniel and Landscape Ninjas a call. Thank you so much for your help. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
And appreciate all your help.
Yes, sir.